Welcome to Fratflix, a podcast where college entrepreneurs chasing their dreams share their stories of success, lessons, and advice for you guys. Let's get it. From nearly dropping out to building a tech company and completing an Ironman, Matt's story isn't about luck, but it's about going all in. Matt, you said if you're going to jump, dive. What does this mean to you?
So it means in life you're gonna have these opportunities that come to your door, and if you're going to go after those opportunities, you are going to either go all in on them or you are not going to do them. There is no dip my foot in the water. It is all in or it is all out. And if you stick your toe in the water, it never works out. So either go all in or go all out.
Right. Because when we were talking, you mentioned how people in your life have told you you couldn't do stuff, told you it wasn't possible to be an Ironman, to win a bodybuilding championship, but you decided to go all in. What was your mindset like?
So for starters, the fitness kind of journey that I've been on with natural bodybuilding was very telling of what was later going to come in life. So in order to take a goal and visualize it over a long period of time, multiple months, you need to stay extremely consistent and dedicated. So throughout that time, the gym was basically all I did, and it was a lot of what I did. But as I then set new goals for myself, like the Ironman and like starting this business up, it became clear to me that the process of these goals that are giant when you think about them off the top of your head, you have to break them down into time periods of what you want to get done to then accomplish that goal. And it carries over from bodybuilding to Ironman to business to your job, whatever it is. When you set these lofty goals, a lot of people will end up giving up after a week because they didn't think about what they need to get done for just that week. They thought about the giant daunting goal in front of them. So breaking down the process into like bite-sized chunks is my suggestion.
You say 99% of people fail because the goals get too lofty. But St. Thomas Edison said, many of life's failures are people who don't realize how close they were to success when they gave up. And for you, you almost dropped out of college your sophomore year with failing a class. Can you talk to me about that mindset and breaking it down and being able to overcome it?
Yeah, it was very tough, and I was actually at the gym at the time, and I was on the phone with somebody who's a year older than me, actually my big in the fraternity. Him and I are very close. And I asked him kind of like, what is next for me? Like, I have no idea where what to do. What is my next step in life? Like, do I just go home? Do I try and pick another major? Like, I don't know. And nobody really knew. I talked to my parents and stuff. So I was at the gym with him on the phone, and he talked about MIS, management information systems. And I knew I wanted to try and to finish school and try and find some sort of goal to go after. So I did a set and I thought about it, and I said, what if I gave it really everything that I could give on this attempt for MIS? What if I really went all in on it? And that's kind of where I decided to um, continue and pick a new major and try and find maybe a passion for this. Um, then I was kind of faced with another task. So when I joined MIS, the intro course was like a weed out course, and I was not doing well. I was actually failing at the midterm. I had an F. Um, and I went into the professor's office and I told him I would do whatever it took to pass this class, and I cannot go home. And this is it for me. Um, so he he told me, I can set you up with a tutor. You have to show up. You have to do all these things. And again, this is where it comes back into play: consistency, chipping away at things. The idea that I wanted to do well in this class, B or an A, was a lofty goal, but you break it down and you say, maybe I can do 2 hours of tutoring this day, 3 hours of tutoring this day, and let's break it into bite-sized chunks and let's go after our goal. Um, so I I feel bad for that tutor because she had her hands full and I was there often. And ended up with an A in the class, was a finalist for an app that I programmed, and it was it was looking back just like the other hard things in life. You break it down and you week by week, day by day, you go after these lofty goals.
Most people don't stick around, don't stay consistent enough with what they want in life to see the results. What is your take on this, on staying consistent with not seeing any results until the end of the semester? Was it frustrating at times?
It was extremely frustrating, but I like to go by the thought of this is like my new normal. So for me, going in for 2-hour long sessions was like a new normal for me. And you make it almost to where if you don't do that, it feels wrong, which is kind of my thought process for things when I have these goals. It's just like, this is my new normal, and I'm going to do this until this is accomplished. And if you have an off day, it doesn't really affect you because your new normal is, I'm going to go to tutoring for 2 hours a day, Monday through Friday, and look up YouTube on Saturday if I have to. And that's my new normal. And if I miss a day, I feel it feels weird to me.
You make it your lifestyle of wanting to pursue what feels right to you, your intuition. So, following your intuition, senior year, you started Cornerstone. What made you want to start Cornerstone?
I think I romanticize the thought of like founder or anything related to founder. I thought it was like the coolest thing ever. And uh honestly, I didn't think really anything would happen with it for a good amount of time, but an offer kind of came my way. One of my friends um got a software demo to their crane company, and it was too much for them. They didn't like it and it was too expensive. And I looked at it and I was like, I can make you something simpler. And that's kind of what started everything. After saying that, I was super excited. And then I started working on it and I was like, my God, this is hard. So I kind of got that same feeling of that daunting goal, and approached it the same way. And it was a long, brutal process. Like, looking back, if you were to give me the same thing that I built, I could probably build it in like a month. But learning, I had to learn everything and I had to put myself, throw myself into the deep end. I dove, right? I didn't stick my foot in the water, my toe in the water. I dove. Um, and I went right after this thing and I realized that I didn't know very much. So I had to do a lot of independent research and break it down and learn these things. And, looking back, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. But going through it was really, really tough.
What does your process of breaking it down look like to you? How did you break it down?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, um, for starters, building wise, to go a little bit more technical here, um, it was an app that was kind of front end, back end database and all these things to it. To break it down, you had to start out with like the structure of how everything kind of relates. And for the technical people out there, if you know like what a database looks like, you have to break it down and start there. And don't think about the app that has to get built. Don't think about anything else that has to come with it. You just start with the database. Okay, I'm going to try and lay out the database in a month and a half. And then you break it down further. This week, I'm going to try and do 5 fields in the database. Um, that's that is breaking down a goal, is making it small, very small. Um, and it's hard to do. It is. But if you can keep up with your timelines, you can take goals that seem giant and maybe not seem they don't seem so daunting anymore.
Were there ever days while building this AI that you wanted to just give up and say, I don't need to do this?
Yeah, there were a ton. I It was weird because I was in school too, so I wouldn't have any homework, but it felt like I had a giant assignment, and it was tough. I mean, I had to really rearrange my schedule and kind of figure out how I was gonna attack this with school and everything going on. Um, but yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to be honest with your friends and say, "I'm not gonna make it tonight. Um, I'll see you boys tomorrow." And I had to do that a couple times. And I was sitting in my room with the door closed, staring at the computer screen, saying, "This is, what am I doing here?" But you'll have those, and if you don't have those, you're probably not doing it right.
What did the sacrifices mean to you?
I think when I started out, I was just honestly so clueless that I had like a sense of delusion. Um, and then I got about 50% of the way through, and then I realized how much work was left. Um, but the sacrifices to me by the time I was 50% of the way done was just normal. Um, I was so excited when I got something to work. I would pull in like one of my friends who lived kind of kitty corner to me. I lived in the frat house. And I would like pull him in here and show him, and he would have no idea. He'd be like, "Oh, that's great. Like, cool, man." And I'd be like, "Dude, look." But by the time I got to that point, like the sacrifices, it just became normal. Like it was normal that I could maybe go out on Thursday and on Friday I would normally stay and put in a good amount of hours working on this thing. Um, but yeah, setting that new normal, it's not easy to start. I would say 2 to 3 weeks in for me, like my brain just kind of rewires itself where it's like, okay, this is now what I do.
Would you say making the sacrifices of the short term fun for the long term enjoyment and the long term results was worth it?
Yes, 100%. Now I'm gonna come back and challenge to say I didn't sacrifice everything and I still had a ball. My senior year was fantastic and I loved it. But I did not throw away my entire weekend. So there is a difference. But I also had a life. I hung out with friends. I watched college football. I went out, like I still had fun. Um, and there's a line. I think this idea of throwing your whole friend group away because they're not maybe chasing the same thing you are, um, not showing up to stuff because you have stuff to do is okay. But if you can't go to things, can you look at yourself and say, there was nothing else I could have done different during the week that would have changed this outcome? So, like Saturday, if I want to go out on Saturday and have fun, can I just get everything done beforehand? Like, I don't want to throw everything away, um, and look back on college and say, like, I didn't do anything my senior year. So I think there is a line to it.
Gotcha. So what does grades and school life look like while you were in college? What does that what did your grades mean to you?
My grades meant quite a bit, especially going into MIS. I felt like I really had something to prove. My parents were very focused on the grades, which is understandable. So I would say by the end of my senior year, my second semester, the thought of an A minus and a B plus didn't really mean that much to me. So honestly, I spent probably a little too much time building that crane system, but at that point, I already had the full-time role. I was kind of to ready for that transition when it came to, being done with school. Um, but I did focus heavily on my grades in my sophomore year, second semester, and then my junior year and my first semester, senior year. And I still did good for my last semester of senior year, but I would say I learned more outside of the classroom because I was working on this stuff.
When you talk about the hustle, what sacrifices outside of the friend group were you making? Was it no social media? Was it just you had to cut back on other stuff? What lifestyle changes did you make?
I think one of the main things that I really thought about was honestly sitting on the couch. I mean, if I'm hanging out and doing nothing and sitting on my couch in my own room, that is a problem. I'm only sitting on the couch if I'm hanging out with my friends and we're, I don't know, watching TV, playing video games after my work is done. Um, the idea of like, I'm going to take a load off for a full Friday night and just sit in my room on my couch. That was the thing that I changed the most. That got dropped off.
So, how did your mindset switch in all of this? And for others that are starting out like myself, I'm still in like a lifestyle switch right now where I realize, okay, this is what it actually takes. And I see bits and pieces, and then I fall back to my old habits. And then I get a little further and fall back to my old habits. Did this happen with you, or were you able to just dive right in?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and say that I dove in and, I became Elon Musk. There's a big line there. It was pretty slow and incremental changes. And I think the biggest mistake that people make is expecting to become Elon Musk in a week. It takes a lot of time and a lot of hours, and your workload, it it's not gonna go from I work 30 hours to now I'm gonna jump up and work 70. It's 5 hours a week, it's 3 hours a week even, a little bit better than last week. Um, it's like the get rich quick schemes and all that stuff. Everything is incremental and it's slow and it's compounding.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. The results that you want in life take time, take effort, take consistent energy.
I'm a long way away still.
Yeah, so talk to me more about cornerstone and the development of it, because you currently have a couple guys working for you now, and tell me about just where it started and how you've been growing it.
So, started out with this crane system and we finished it, and I was like, this could definitely sell. And this is another thing that you will find like whenever you start something. I call it getting punched in the face. So I finished this thing up and I'm like, this thing can sell. We're ready to go. Like, let's get salespeople in here and let's just sell this thing. It's gonna be great. Um, Turns out not a lot of people wanted it. So so you'll find that you'll you'll sit there and put hours and hours into these products and these, whatever it is that you build, and you still have a whole nother battle to fight with people actually wanting them. Because, for example, we built this thing for a crane company with like 15 employees, like 12, 13 cranes, and we're going after other crane companies and they were like, we don't need this, we don't need this. And it was kind of like we realized we custom built it for the crane company and it's not like a reusable template. So you'll learn that um, finding a product that actually scales is extremely difficult. Um, and it takes a lot, most of the time, it takes a lot of different products to find something that actually scales. So I would say overall, be prepared to be punched in the face. I mean, put the hours in, build something, and you're probably going to get punched in the face the first time, and you're going to sit there and say, "Wow, I built that and put that many hours in and sold it to one person," and then you'll sit there and say, "Wow, my hourly rate was not very good." Um, so that's expected though, and you live and you learn, and then you'll realize, hey, let's try and build something else. And then you'll probably do more market research and say, is this a viable product? Do we think we can sell this to multiple people? So, like looking forward now, I've had a lot of experiences with products that don't quite scale. So we, I made two more, and I'm hoping that they scale. And we're trying to put out posts for salespeople, and we're kind of putting more into like lead generation, finding kind of warmer leads, social media marketing, stuff like that. That's um, kind of a popular way to go about the advertising right now. But again, like now I'm at a point where I can build, but now I need to learn how to market well. So you have to kind of keep all these things in line. So it's a very fun process at times, and then there'll be times when your head will hit the pillow and you'll be like, "What am I doing?" But it's all part of the fun.
You're talking about all these startup terms: lead generation, go to market, media marketing. Have you self taught yourself all of this? Or have you had mentors, or how have you learned all of this?
Um, MIS technically is a little bit of computer science and business mix. Um, but I learned about 95% through YouTube. And I'm not making that number up. It is a lot of hours and writing down bullet points and seeing how people so and so runs this business. How did he go about it? And that's what I've actually enjoyed the most. I am a very independent person, um, and just being able to open my computer and learn on my own time, do my own thing, and really just try it out, right? I dove into the pool already, but now that I'm in the pool, like let's really take a look around and let's try
Let's
and
learn how
make
to
something
swim.
of it. Right.
Let's
Let's
learn
learn
how
how
to
to
swim
swim.
and not just tread.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you say you self taught yourself all of this. Why continually self teach yourself? Why, instead of watching a TV show, doom scrolling, playing video games. Why did you teach yourself all of this?
I fell in love with the chase. I love figuring out things. If something is broken, coming back a day later and solving that problem gives me a lot of joy. And that probably sounds ridiculous to say, but uh, that's I fell in love with independent learning and then applying that to solve actual problems. Um, was something that really made me keep going and continue to learn. Um, it's just a lot of fun.
Did you always love the chase or did it
I
adapt over time?
Yeah, I think it just changed fields. Like, I think it started out with the bodybuilding and the Ironman after that, and then I started in school when I changed to MIS. My whole goal was to get a 4.0 because, you know, my parents told me I couldn't do it, so I figured I'd try. Uh, so that was my next goal, and then after that, then it was obviously the cornerstone and all that stuff, but it's it became apparent to me that the process repeated itself, and the chase is what I enjoy. I actually prefer the race over the destination. Once I get to the destination, it's like a nice 12-hour period, and then it's like, "What's next?" So yeah.
There's a quote that says, "Those who love to walk will walk further than the man who loves the destination."
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So, for others out there that might be halfway in, might be in a position where I'm at or where you started at, where you kind of like it, but there's days that you struggle and you want to fall off. And you say you love the process. Would you say loving the process and almost tricking yourself into loving what you do has helped you come this far?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of days where you just kind of need to put feelings out the window. And I know that that's not really an easy thing to do. That's kind of like I would argue that's probably the hardest thing to do in life. Um, but in order to kind of keep showing up every day, you can't go about how you feel, because if you do that, there's days when I wake up and I just want to sit and watch TV and sleep all day. Like, everybody does that. It's just kind of like, how do you deal with that feeling um, it's kind of like the telling sign of feel like very successful people kind of do that as well, where they just kind of disregard how they feel. They have their thing they want to get done for the day or for the week or whatever it is. And, their feelings don't really have an impact of, them accomplishing that. And it's very hard to do. Everyone struggles with it. I obviously struggle with it. I by no means have life figured out, not even close. And if you can just do that and you disregard it and you get your work done anyway, when you go to bed at night, you'll be a happier person.
On a personal level, how did you deal with it?
It's a good question. Um, Honestly, and a good one that I still do often is exercise. And I started out with the bodybuilding and the Ironman stuff, and it really does help my mood. And this kind of routine that I've gotten in post grad is going to the gym early in the morning, at least Monday through Friday. Um, and you will feel pretty bad some days. And as long as you just get up and go, you know, drink your little caffeine and your pre workout. If you got to wake up, that's what I do because God knows I get tired. And once you once you just get in that routine, you come out of there, you're probably not gonna have a bad day. Um, personally, that's how I deal with it. And oftentimes, if I'm very stressed out from a full work day and like long hours, I will go for a run. If I get off work at 5, and I'm really stressed out and I still got a bunch to do, I'll go out for a little run and I'll come back and I'll be kind of like reset. So for me, that's how I did it. Some people like to read, some people like to, meditate. For me, I just like to be active and move and exercise, but everyone has their own way, right? And it's not a one size fits all. I feel like you'll see these really high performing people and you'll try and do exactly what they do, and then you'll realize that it doesn't work for you. So I think there's many ways to deal with it, but the way I do it is exercise. I it's just what I love. I will do it till the day I die.
I love that. Was
Yeah.
there ever a time that you hit rock bottom while starting the business?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been a couple times. It's before the business actually. More so in high school, kind of before I even started um kind of weight training and doing all that stuff. I was a wrestler through my first 2 years of high school, and I broke my ankle when I was wrestling, and I think that was the last time I ever wrestled again. But um, when I did that, I did go down a dark path, and like some of my friends that was friends with forever, like I just stopped talking to people. And I was just a really skinny, frail, like 80 pound, 90 pound kid. And I just did not, honestly, I just did not like myself. Like I looked in the mirror and I just did not like myself. So I, you get into these situations where you're really at the bottom and you sit there and you kind of wonder, like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? Reframe that to what do I have to lose? And you sit there and you realize you have nothing to lose because you're at rock bottom. There is no going down from rock bottom. So that's what got me into the fitness weight training grind. And I watched a bunch of YouTube on that, dieting tips. Oh, I gotta eat ground beef and chicken. Okay, I'll just eat that. And then that was my new normal, uh, and then I put on 30 pounds in like, oh, let me think, 30 pounds in like 2.5 months or something like that. Yeah, 2.5 months, I
Wow.
think. Um, and that was kind of my start of my love for fitness was after that. But those results didn't come for probably a month and a half to 2 months. I didn't see any progress. That's demoralizing when you're at rock bottom and you can't see any progress. Um, I think people who are at rock bottom wanna see progress in a day, and it's just not gonna happen, so, um, if you ever do get there, I've been there, and it sucks, but you have nothing to lose.
There's a quote that says, "We suffer more in imagination than reality." So, being at rock bottom, you think their life is just horrible. But in reality, like you said, there's nothing to lose. So, you can do whatever you want. I think that's so powerful in life itself, but especially when starting a business. What's one part of being a founder that no one really talks about?
Um, I think the thing that's most overlooked is the actual days of, I call it, um, eating shit. So, like,
Tell
those
me more.
days of actually eating shit, they don't get looked at, so, like, those I'll give you an example too that I really liked the Spotify documentary on Netflix. I thought it was really cool about how Spotify was founded and how it was started. And they showed I don't remember his name, but he's sitting in the apartment programming Spotify and like starting out. And it's like a little cut scene and it's, he's on his computer and his keyboard. I don't think people realize how long that cut scene is in real life. I don't. Alex Hormozy calls it the Rocky cut scene where he's like training like a crazy man in like Russia when he's going to fight Drago and stuff. That
Love that movie.
that is it's a great movie. That is what is missed about being the founder is like it's glorified and especially like these giant companies. Like I am nowhere near that. So that is like in order to get there is another level of eating shit. Like to even just get started and make $1, you still have to eat shit. Um, but that Rocky cutscene or that Spotify cutscene can last years. And that's what people don't see is sometimes it looks like these people just blow up overnight and then you realize that they've been doing it for 4 years. So take that into account because um, most of the time, there are exceptions, but 99% of the time, anything worth value takes a long time.
I think one big thing on why people stop is because when people don't see the results, they believe their work that they put in for 3 months is entitled to success. And when they don't see the results of success, they think it's a waste or don't believe in the value of their product or don't believe in the value of themselves and the consistency of work they've been putting in. So they quit. What would you tell people just starting out like myself? This is my first podcast. And moving forward, I'm probably going to hit 3, 4 months of grind, getting no followers, no subscribers, no likes. What would you tell me? What would you tell other people starting out and you don't see the results? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, that's kind of the worst part. And honestly, um, I've seen a lot of talks about the some of the best founders have the biggest sense of delusion. Um, and that could very well be true. I think when you go through something very challenging, and it doesn't work, it's hard to sit there and say it was worth your time. I would say for me, I have stuff right now that's not working, and I've put in a lot of time, months into these things, and they're not working currently. And you have to be able to sit there and say, I got better in some area because of the work that I put into this. And it's going to it's going to come at some point. When that point is, nobody knows. But until it comes, I got better at X. Like I got better at something. Even if it doesn't work, you need to find some sort of item that you improved on from this, from doing something like this. Um, so like building wise, I would say I got better because I learned how to build X. Even though it didn't work, I am now better at building. So you still gain experience. And that's like me being younger, not having it close to figured out. I'm keep trying and trying and trying and see, hopefully one of them takes, right? But until that point, I get better and better and better at just entrepreneurship in general, like how it works, finding products that work. You get better and better with reps. So treat it as reps.
I like that. It takes what? 10,000 reps to be a master?
Oh yeah.
10,000 hours, 10,000
Entrepreneurship, I'd
reps.
argue 100,000 because my God, no.
So that kind of relates to discipline equals freedom. And you said you don't like being what you don't like being told what to do. So how is your entrepreneurial journey leading towards the freedom in life?
Um, really, it's really just the same boring old consistency and putting in hours daily, doing the same things daily, um, that are making you better, that are making you a better person, more driven, more focused. Um, Discipline for me is, did I run 3 to 4 times this week? Did I go to the gym in the morning? Did I make it out of bed? Was I able to, let's say I had to do some coding for this page of an app. Did I get that done in time? Um, at my job, did I get my stuff done for my job? There's a lot of things that you have to juggle, but every day you are faced with tasks and things to do. Just sitting down and knocking them out is just way better than, sometimes you just gotta stop plotting everything out. Like, I'm gonna write out my whole day from 8:30 to 9:30, I'm gonna do this. Like, I feel like that's what people think. I personally do not do that. I just say, "Today, I'm gonna get X, Y, and Z done." Um, I feel like some of it's overcomplicated, and that tends to be daunting. I didn't finish X by 9:30 AM, like, that's a problem. I think people are a little too hard on themselves, and then they just end up falling off the wagon. So, discipline-wise, you can't expect to be locked in 24/7 and have a consistent 5 years of hard work. It's just not gonna happen. You could do it for maybe a month or 2, but, you'll hit a wall. That's kind of what I've had that come to a point where, you hit the wall and stuff, but discipline equals freedom, 100% agree. Also, make time for you.
Go more. Go deeper on that.
Yeah. Uh, Make time for you. So post grad, I was doing all this stuff, and there was a whole week where I didn't run once. I didn't even have time. I would go to the gym, I'd come back, and I'd work till, like, I don't know, 8:30 PM, 9 o'clock, and at that point, like, I live in Chicago, I'm sorry, I'm not running at night, so,
I
no,
don't blame you. I don't blame you one bit.
I'm not doing that, yeah, I'm good on that. So, make time for you meeting, that whole week went by, and I didn't run once. I didn't even have time to run for 40 minutes. That's a little bit ridiculous. Like, you can't you can't sit there and go through this week after week and month after month and stay consistent with it if you don't have some time for you. Um, and without it, like, you're not going to be as excited, energetic. For me, like, I need a little bit of running. I need my lifting. Otherwise, I am not me. Um, so make time for you. And it's hard because you want to be working 24/7. And some days you are going to have to do that. I'm not saying do it every day. Some days just suck. Eat shit, right? We talked about it. Eat shit. But make some time for you. It's 40 minutes. Carve it out.
Would you say making time for you is the same or different as social interactions and de-stressing to be involved with hanging out with your friends?
Um, I think I think it's very good, and obviously I always make time for that. But if there's certain things that you like to do on your own, I still think it's very healthy to go do those things on your own. I don't think, like, for me, it's always been the fitness stuff, obviously, but everyone has their thing. Like, some people play golf by themselves. That's like their little meditation, whatever. Go do that. Make time for that. Maybe you can't go every week, but because it's 4 hours, but maybe you go play 9 holes instead of 18 and you still get your little golf in for you. Um, there are certain things that activities that you should do because it helps you relax and unwind. And, sometimes that's not with your friends. Like sometimes you need to be by yourself, not working. And that is vitally important.
Mhm. I agree with that a lot. I definitely like I always take self for my time, whether it's journaling, reading. I haven't worked out in a month, but that's because I got super busy with work and starting this podcast. But I'm carving out that time, so I'm waking up earlier now to start being able to work out and getting a great start to my day. How has building good habits played a role into your success?
Um, I also, number one, I don't know if I crowned it as success yet, but my journey has been, I mean, it would not exist without the habits. There's just no way around it. It wouldn't. I probably wouldn't even have finished college. So, um, habits are everything. They are everything. That's what talking about the new normal. I'm gonna go to tutoring. That's the new normal. That's habits. Because once you establish habits, it is weird when they're broken. So that's like the little mind trick you play on yourself. You establish these habits, and then when they're broken, it becomes kind of like oh, I didn't get to do that today. Um, so, but it has a reverse effect for bad habits. So if you normally do bad habits, right? And going from bad habits to good habits is a long process, like everything else.
They say it takes 30 days. I think it takes
At
much
least
longer.
I think
I
it takes much longer.
especially depending on what habits they are.
100%.
Like if you're trying to start a business and you do a lifestyle switch, it's hard to switch 10 different habits from hanging out, partying, not working, just doing the bare minimum. And then you're like, I have an idea. I want to conquer it. And then you try to do a lifestyle switch. It almost feels impossible. I've tried doing that multiple times, but I've gradually just, implemented one thing, then the other thing. And now I'm at a position to where I almost feel like I can just live and love the lifestyle I'm living, but I'm not quite there yet.
Neither am I. I don't think anybody ever gets there.
Yeah. So looking back at your college years, what would you tell your younger self?
Um, I'm gonna steal your quote that you told me before this started. This too shall pass. And it is it is a quote from the Bible, and it is a really good one because oftentimes you'll be on this emotional roller coaster, especially during entrepreneurship is a great example of the roller coaster of up, down, up, down. And you'll have these high highs and these low lows. And I still have them every day. Like don't discount that. I have them every day. But sit there and say, this too shall pass. I made my first sale. And then all of a sudden, uh, oh my God, I can't sell anything. Like this too shall pass. You're up, you're down, when in reality, this too shall pass is a straight line. And it's just calm. Uh, that's that would be what I would tell myself because you think you have life all figured out and you're on this high. Then you realize how far away you are from having life all figured out, and it's a low, low, and then you go back and forth, and um, this too shall pass is it's just stay calm. Everything is just be calm. Flatline.
See, I would almost argue that and say life is like a heartbeat where it goes up and it goes down. And
But yeah, it does.
if it's not pulsing, then you're not living. But it because if you're flatlined, then you would be considered dead. So like your life is supposed to have those angles in it because that's what living is. That's what your heart does. And if it was to be a flat
Let
line
me
though, you
I'll
would die.
rephrase. That was rough, but, um, it goes up and down. Maintaining like a rock, just level, is living a good life, number 1, but the ups and the downs, you'll be able to deal with those because you are calm, you are mellow. This I'm up, I'm down, I'm up, I'm down. That impacts your days. We talk about like emotional, I don't want to do this today. I feel terrible today. That's what I talking about, like emotions playing into me getting stuff done. That's kind of the way I look at it is if you're more of like a straight line, you just wake up and you do what you would normally do. You go to the gym, you work, you do X, Y, and Z for 3 hours, whatever. By flatline, I more so mean consistent, and instead of I'm really great, I'm terrible. I'm really great, I'm terrible. Straight line, consistent.
I like that. So for the students out there who are listening and struggling with grades or direction, what's one thing they should absolutely hear right now?
Um, I would say grade wise, you if you're struggling grade wise, number one, there's people that can help, and a lot of people are afraid to reach out and ask for help. Um, I think this is the same in life too, but there are people who want to help you, and you need to just find the right people. And whether that be going to your professor directly, which is again not normal, um, it it really does help, and it's crucial sometimes because you get a relationship established. Later on down the line, things will um, pan out normal most of the time. I'm still in touch with my professor that I went in to that class when I was failing, and I still keep in touch with him to this day. So you never know what can come of that, but there are people everywhere who want to help you.
Absolutely. One thing we mentioned in our talk earlier was college has zero risk. You can start whatever you want, but it also flies by in the blink of an eye if you aren't paying attention. So, to the next wave of entrepreneurs that have an inspiration, an idea, a dream, a goal, but are nervous to take the next step or don't know what it looks like, what's a piece of advice you would talk to them about?
So you like what I talked about earlier, you have nothing to lose. In
Mhm.
college, you literally have nothing to lose. So go and set that lofty goal 5 months away and break it down and say, let's go after this goal because I want to learn and I want to see what comes of this. Go do that and do that in college because you really learn. Number one, you learn a lot about yourself. Number two, you change the way that you think. Um, Breaking down goals, all that stuff relates and it comes back later in life. It's not just a one-time thing. So, you will learn more about yourself probably than honestly, I hate to say it, but the 4 years. I mean, the 4 years are hard, but, you do something like that, it's it's next level.
Great. And if there's one main lesson from your journey so far that you will continually use for as long as you're alive, what would it be?
Um, two things. Number one is patience. I tend to live my life extremely fast, and I tend to just sprint, and go after things right away. And sometimes you need to take a step back and say, you know what, this isn't going to happen today. That being said, I'm going to show up tomorrow. So patience is one, and I am going to counter on that with ambition and drive to go out and actually dive into the pool. So kind of two things here. The patience is when you're in the pool, sometimes, you're not going to swim to the other side the same day that you jump in. Um, but you still have to jump in. So that ambition is what would drive you to jump in and start that process. And that's a big, you know, it's a big jump. And I think once you get older, you'll have more decisions like that where you'll have to jump in the pool or not. Um, but yeah, once you jump in that pool, it takes a while to get to the other side. So the ambition and patience.
Love that. And now that you're full time working with Zurich, as well as trying to build Cornerstone up to a startup, what's next for you, man?
So I think right now it is get the most experience humanly possible. So try everything. Um, I'm 23. I don't have a family. I live with a good roommate and got a nice apartment, and I sit here and I work. Try everything. You have no responsibility. Again, nothing to lose right now. So let's try everything. That being said, the startup ventures and all that stuff it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy it. It's just constant strategy building, thinking about thinking about product, thinking about next steps, keeping up with like the new stuff going on in the industry because it's just exploding. All that stuff to me it's awesome. I love it. So what is next? I don't have my life planned out, but um, I'm gonna keep working towards Cornerstone and the other projects I'm doing, um, and keep Zurich going because it's honestly a great job. So it's it's exciting. It's very exciting.
Matt, you have dropped so much wisdom today and so much inspiration. I look forward to seeing what you keep doing in life, staying in touch. If other people want to contact and reach you, maybe to be a sales rep for you or want to learn about AI and learn more about your story, where can they reach you at?
Yeah. So I will drop my email. I don't know if you want to put it in the caption or I can drop it here. mjsullivan0910 maybe we could put it in the caption as well. Would love to talk to any of you guys. And keep whatever you're doing, keep doing it and do it consistently and keep those good habits going.
Matt, it's been great to have you. Remember, if you're gonna jump, dive. Thanks for tuning in to Fratflix. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like. And subscribe and follow on TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube at frat_flicks. I hope you learned something that you can start implementing today. And remember, always love yourself. Peace.